So we are live now.
All right, I see that. So you make me a host, right? So I can be able to
Yes.
handle it and you go about your business. All right. Okay, as that is on the way, I think I can start proper now. Good afternoon from Nigeria, everyone. Please, I want to confirm that everyone can hear me.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Yes, we can
All
hear
right,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon from Nigeria, everyone. My name is Emmanuel, and I am the spokesperson for the organizing committee of this debate competition. Sometimes back, we had the event, and somehow we had a break. But we are back, and we are here to, conclude with the event, that's the debate competition, and go about our other businesses. So I'd love to say thank you very much for your time, and as well apologize for the inconvenience this might have caused anyone. So that being said, I think we can go proper into the substance of today's event, which is the qualifier round of the debate competition. So for the first presenters, we have Neoma Tionest and Angelo Achiampong, if I get those pronunciations correctly, to debate on the topic, should African nations impose stricter laws on environmental conservation? So you have, let me check the time. This is 4:14. So you have 8 minutes in total for the presentation. I mean, 3 minutes for Neoma, 3 minutes for Angelo, and 1 minute each for both of you guys to respond to rebuttals and surrebuttals, as the case may be. So your time starts now. Neoma, you are going for, Angelo against. So 4 will start first. I hope Neoma is on the call.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Neoma, you have the floor.
Sorry, are we going to open our cameras or?
Yes, you are.
Should I start?
Okay, we can see you. So your time is running.
Okay, thank you very much. In 1, 2, 3, I'm going to start. Hey, hi, everyone in the meeting room. My name is Neema Theones, all the way from Dar es Salaam. I'm here with the motions in environment. Dear judges and my fellow youth, first of all, just understand what the strict laws, then environmental conservation. Strict laws, these are strong rules and regulations set by the government to get the human being is all about protecting, preserving, and ensure sustainable use of natural resources that are present in the environment. Dear judges and my fellow youth, also Angelo, this discuss the necessity of strict law in environment conservation. I really agree with this motion due to this fact. Strict law in environment conservation, it's helping sustainability of natural resources and protecting the environment from the impact of the climate change. African nation help in guiding sustainability, its benefits for the present generation without compromising the next generation, and also in eliminating the harmful human practices in the environment, including deforestation, illegal logging, pollution, tend to threaten the biodiversity life and balance of the ecosystem. Dear judges, we all know that climate change is not a global issue. Why? This is due to poor efforts in environment conservation. Now, imposing strict law in environment conservation will help African nations accelerating in innovative solutions on climate mitigation and adaptation strategies like using of alternative and also use of green technologies, all in order is to protect laws. Good fact, dear judges and my fellow youth, we see how United Nations Environment Program, that is the UNEP, in the year 2023 provided how Africa lost 4 million of forest hectares annually due to high rates of deforestation attend to carbon emission. Now, dear judges, come and see how this strict law has helped some African nation in thriving. Now, to our neighbor country, Kenya, ban in the year 2017 has enabled Kenya in a reduction of plastic waste. The same to Rwanda in the 2008, after imposing the plastic bag ban, also ensuring a proper waste management as enabled Kigali being a clean and a green city in Africa. Now, come and see to Sudan. Soon after poor land use and the forest conservation has led Sudan being leading in the desertification. This is due to overgrazing, and I think we can all imagine how this imposing strict law is very, very important, not only to protect, but also in promoting innovation and ensure sustainable benefits of this generation, not only this, even for the coming generation. Now, by ending up, dear judges and my fellow youth, you can hear and you can see the opposition come telling us that African nation has no financial institution, but it's important for you to understand that strict law attract funding. Strict law tend to create good system of economic development. Not only that, it's accountability. Also, opposing can come and pressing strict law. However, the reality tend to prove issue is imposition of strict law help in thriving to economic development because strict law help the environment. Once we protect our environment, economy time because it attracts investors and
thank you very much, Nima. Your time is up.
Thank you very much.
All right. Angelo, are you there? Angelo, you
Yes,
have the
please.
floor.
Good
Your
afternoon.
time starts now.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson, respected judges, accurate timekeeper, and my worthy opponent. I am Angelo Echampon, all the way from Ghana, Accra, Ghana, out of the negative side. Strongly opposed should African nations impose stricter laws on environmental conservation. Although environmental conservation is important, African nations imposing at this stage will do more harm than good. We as Africans depend directly on natural resources for our survival, and harsh restrictions threaten livelihoods and prevalent poverty and already prevalent poverty in such communities. With weak enforcement systems and socio-economic challenges, imposing stricter laws are just unrealistic and unfair. Prioritize development and educating our workforce to ascend in the value addition cycle, environmental regulation. If you catch my drift. As Africans, many of our communities depend on natural resources like forests, rivers, and land for their daily survival. Activity, fishing, and logging as an income. Imposing stricter laws would just restrict access to resources, leaving them without alternative livelihood. Without proper compensation, job alternatives or support programs may increase already already existent unemployment and poverty, especially in these communities we are interested in. Conservation laws would only harm the very people they were meant to protect. Let's face it, stricter environmental conservation laws in African nations are often driven by pressure from developed countries and international. However, many of these developed nations achieved their wealth industrialization and environmental pollution, expecting African countries who have contributed far less environmental damage to adopt these strict is just a glaring display of double standards. Such pressure will only limit Africa's ability to utilize and use its natural resources, creates a situation where Africans are told to sacrifice economic growth to solve a problem that was largely caused by others. Therefore, imposing stricter laws under foreign pressure rather than ensuring genuine environmental justice. This brings me to the end of my.
Okay. Presentation, Angelo. So this is the second phase of your session, which is the rebuttal and rebuttal phase. I don't know if either of you, Nima, Angelo, maybe there are points you guys made at some point that you have to counter. Is Nima still on the call?
Yeah, sure, I'm the call.
Okay. Is there a point that Angelo made that you find contradictory? I would love to shed light on, or we should just forgo it.
Yeah, sure. I have some point to rebut. I would like to congratulate my colleague for trying to telling us to try to put us in a situation of first of all the point that has made this he has said that imposing strict law lead to unemployment. I think is not right, because imposing strict law in environment conservation. Environment means anything that surrounds you. For instance, a land it's used in agriculture. So ensuring sustainability of it helps a lot in that sector. You know, a lot of youth, for instance, even in Tanzania, most of youth are employing themselves in agriculture. Why? Because this land was being well conserved. It leads to unemployment. I don't understand on that. So please, more clarification on that. And as I've said, we should invest in education and development. Because, for instance, I have graduated yet from university. I've finished my education. Now I employ myself in agriculture activity. So what does this comes in a thriving to development? How to invest in education will enable I to make economic growth for myself and for the nation, while I have to invest myself in natural resources that are present, either forest, the minerals, so that I can get the income, even my country to thrive. So more clarification on this, please.
So to tackle your unemployment point, the unemployment point is coming from the part of, if you are enforcing environmental laws, obviously there will be some people who will be affected by the strict enforcement of these laws. Like example, in Ghana, we are facing this problem of small scale miners. So if we are enforcing these environmental laws properly, it means the small scale miners will have to go out of business, and it will favor the position where there are bigger companies also violating these environmental conservation laws. But because they have more money and can pay to the regulators of their neck, there is more inequality. The poor man can't pay for the regulators to leave him or to be more lax with him. But bigger companies who have the cash on hand for the regulators to get off their neck, this is perpetuating inequality. And on the education point, I'm talking about education in the sense of adding more value to assisting them with just the knowledge and theory. We are supposed to, as African nations, we are supposed to add more value to They come out of their various universities, they are able to come out and grow on their own and give them more capital, give them more avenues to be able to start these businesses, as in the case of Singapore, where they, instead of from our farmers to having engineers whole city. That's what I'm talking about. People who can add value to the raw materials we are already producing.
Thank you, Delu. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, do you have any rebuttal to Nema's point that you'd love to point out so she can iron issues out in that regard?
Okay, during her presentation, she was making mention of like the UN. And back to my presentation, I was saying these organizations are just forcing African countries to pay for their debts. They've already done the damage developing to pay for something they didn't do. And I have a question to her. You are talking about all these concepts of environmental conservation and all these high-level languages. But what would you say to them or the farmer who has a day from the same UN you were quoting to solve you?
All right, my colleague, for a good question. As I said before, imposing strict law on environment conservation is an ability. It means that this generation that we get the benefit, promise the benefit of the future. For instance, a good example in a lot of East African nation family have this tendency of inheriting. They inherit their children in that activity of farming, but due to this era is now in advanced stages. Even you can find maybe fishermen, they are inheriting their children to do this activity of fishing. So in answering your question, imposing this strict law in protecting these natural resources that are present in the environment, all in conserving the environment, will ensure that this farmer, for instance, in a rural area that they get maybe low income, to ensure that they're well thriving economically in the next generation, because you not expand. Even in rural areas now, you can find a person use it. So the answer on that is that it enables the generation of these farmers who get low income for their to extend and thrive more economically for them. That's why we are now advocacy for well conserving of the environment under the guidance of the strict laws. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you to the presenters. End of your sessions. So we are moving to the next phase of presentation, which is for Nixon, Otera, and Okeke. So your topic for debate is digital inclusion the solution to Africa's education challenge? Is digital inclusion the solution to Africa's education challenges, rather? Nixon, you are against. So Nixon will be having the floor first. Nixon, your time starts now. If you're on the call, please unmute yourself and start your presentation.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you loud and clear. Yes, you are audible.
Okay, I just ended the call right now, so if I can have your indulgence just a bit. Thank you so much. So
sorry, before you proceed, Nixon, you joined with two devices, right?
I was joining. Okay. Let me.
I need you
Yes.
to put camera.
Yeah. So that's what I'm setting up right now. So.
All right.
Okay. So am I now? Right. Sure.
All right. You have 3 minutes for your main presentation. Your time starts now.
Honorable educators, my noble delegation, my name is Internal Motion, which says digital inclusion is the solution to Africa's future. Dividing my arguments into 3 lines of arguments, which are number 1, digital problems of scale that traditional methods cannot solve. Solves Africa's learning quality crisis better than traditional approaches. And number 3, digital inclusion is the solution to Africa's economic future and educational sustainability. Moving on to my first line of argument, the question you have to answer first is digital inclusion the solution to reaching 105 million out of school African children? The answer is yes, because traditional infrastructure cannot scale fast enough. Let us first reflect on the magnitude of our challenges. According to UNICEF's regional analysis, 42 million of children in West and Central Africa alone are out of schools. And according to UNESCO Institute of Statistics data, it shows that 53% of children complete primary school that are in rural areas, and compared to 78% that are in cities. That is to say, we need 17 million teachers and thousands of resources we cannot simply comprehend. And also, let's move further and say that, hence, digital inclusion is the solution because it leverages infrastructure we already possess. So according to the GSMA intelligence report, 51% of sub-Saharan Africans own smartphones. That number will reach 88%. That simply means we are not waiting decades to build classrooms. And additionally, according to UNESCO, Moresco's Genie program reached 600,000 students online during the COVID-19, and 80% of all these students through television broadcasts, proving that digital inclusion solves access challenges even without internet. Moving on to my second line of argument, the question we have to ask is that, is digital inclusion the solution to Africa's learning poverty crisis, where 87% of them cannot read by age 10? And the answer is absolute. Analysis of 47 educational technology programs across 12 countries, it proves that the intervention of relevant content achieved 34% better learning outcomes than generic approaches. This proves that digital inclusion doesn't just address the challenges, it transforms the learning quality. Furthermore, UNESCO Institute for Statistics reports that Saharan African literacy rate increased 8% to 2023, driven significantly by the digital programs. And according to that, is in Zambia, text-to-speech technology in centers. And also, let's move on to my third line of argument, which says that the question you have to ask is the digital inclusion the solution to preparing African youth for the future economy? And the answer is definitely because without it, we economic catastrophe. According to the World Bank prediction, by 2030, this is just 5 years from now, 200 jobs will be existing in sub-Saharan Africa. And research that we suggest that and big data is going to contribute $1 trillion to Africa's GDP. This proves that digital inclusion isn't just solving today's educational challenges, but it's the solution to Africa's economic future. And without digital, we condemn 230 million young in their own country. And lastly, according to UNESCO's 2012 strategy on technological innovation in education is now a strategic priority. According to World Bank documentation, East Africa is building a regional ICT center with the labs for cybersecurity, blockchain, and we need
Thank
to
you very
leverage
much,
technology.
Nathan. Thank you very much
I raise
for
my
your
case.
presentation. Chinenye, you have the floor against the topic is digital nutrition solution to Africa's education. Your time starts now.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Good day, esteemed judges. Good day. You can hear me clearly?
I hope everyone can hear me.
Can I be heard? Please, sir, can you confirm that you can hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Good day, esteemed judges. Good day, my debaters. This is Chinero KK,
Yes,
and I'll be speaking
can hear
against
you,
the
Chinelo.
topic that says, is digital inclusion the solution to Africa's education challenges? Now, picture little John in a classroom somewhere in a community in Africa with a projector and a tablet sitting in his community for the past 10 or 20 years. There's also little Peter in another community somewhere in Africa who has which is embracing digital inclusion, also electricity. This is one of the issues that plague African students all over Africa. Now, this brings me to my first point: infrastructure. It's important to note that infrastructure is a significant barrier in Africa. Many African countries lack reliable internet connectivity and access to digital devices. Now, in certain rural areas, we have people having to walk long miles just to access electricity, let alone internet connection. Now, until we address these fundamental issues, when we talk about digital inclusion, it will only but remain a distant dream. The quality of education. It is a pressing concern as to the fact that digital inclusion cannot replace quality education. Now, when we embrace digital inclusion, it cannot compensate for inexperienced teachers, outdated curricula, and also inefficient or unavailability of learning materials. A study in South Africa in the year 22 clearly shows that learning outcomes, but only improved. And our focus should not be on the mode of delivery, but on the quality of delivery. Lastly, I would want to say that digital inclusion would only touchlight the existing inequalities among Africans rather. In many African countries, digital division only mirrors socio-economic disparities that exist amongst people, such that those with access to digital tools and internet fair advantage over those without. It is therefore important to know that by giving priority to digital inclusion, we risk leaving behind a large vulnerable number of students, such that we end up further widening the gap that already exists. Conclusively, it's important to note that while digital inclusion is important, of course it is important. However, it is only but a drop in the ocean of Africa's education challenges, such that in my country, Nigeria, for example, we have recently where Nigerian students absent from their classrooms. Of course, digital inclusion is embraced in Nigeria, but digital inclusion would cease to bridge that gap of insecurity. Digital inclusion cannot bridge the educational gap that has been caused in the life of these students who were abducted. So it's important that we give priority and place importance on development of educational systems that work for everyone in Africa, rather than focusing on digital inclusion, which is only but a silver bullet in the grand scheme of things. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was on time. You did not even utilize the whole of your time. Thank you very much for your presentation, Chinenye. So the second phase of the presentation now, which is the counter arguments. So Nixon, I hope you're still on the call. Nixon, are you still on the call? If you are still on the call, confirm that you can hear me. I hope everyone is hearing me.
Yes, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay. Nixon, are you on the call? Nixon Hotel, are you on the call? It's network connectivity or
Hello.
sorry,
Hello.
my network took a detour. Sorry, I'm back now. So Nixon, is that you?
Yes, it's me. I thought maybe it was my end. Was it the
I think at some point it was your end because I asked to confirm if your co-debaters can hear me. They respond in the affirmative, but all the same, this is the second phase for the presentation, yourself and Chinenye. So the counter-argument phase. Now at this point, maybe raise in order for an iron out. So this is the time, and now you have just 1 minute on your end for that.
So, starting with the question which says that we need to firstly start with the question which says that I acknowledge occasional emergency of catastrophic proportion. And according to you, we have, according to 100, and the World Bank reports that 80% of those children cannot read a simple text by age 10. This is in Africa. Imagine 87%. And according to 17 million new teachers by 2030, that means more teachers than the entire population of Zimbabwe. And hence, we could wait decades for traditional solutions that includes building 17 million classrooms, training 17 million teachers, and printing billions of books. Or we could just embrace the solutions already in our pockets. So my fellow debater just raised the issue of education, the issue of electricity. And to my honorable adjudicators, we have 88% of the whole population of Africa by 2030 having a smartphone in their pockets. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not look far-fetched things. We are looking at a simple cell phone that is in your pocket right now, that you are leveraging right now. This shows that Africa is already in a trajectory towards achieving this aspect. And it is that proof that we need to actually understand that we are already embracing this aspect of technology, and Africa needs this aspect of technology so that we improve our education. And we need to also look in the fact we are already acknowledging the fruits. My fellow debater just acknowledged that aspect of saying that technology is improving the aspect of improved engagement amongst Africans. That's what we need in our education. If we embrace technology,
All right, thank you,
can never go
Nixon.
wrong.
Your time is up. Very much for your presentation. So, Chinenye, you have the floor for your counter arguments now.
Thank you very much. We can already see that one of the issues that plagued the child inclusion is such that affected him, such that he did not have internet connectivity for a few seconds, and that locked him out of the meeting. This is evidence that digital inclusion needs more than access to digital tools. Also, my co-debater mentioned that by 20, that a number of people would have, yes, having a smartphone runs on battery. Now, when there's no electricity, will these smartphones be solar powered? If yes, what are the seasons? How will these smartphones work? He also mentioned that we have students who cannot write. I tell you, a person who cannot read and write will not have to make use of digital tools. At the end of the day, so maybe, just maybe, if digital inclusion can address the issues that would plague it if we embrace it totally, we may just be able to have a digital inclusion. But pending when we are able to sort out all of the issues of electricity, data connectivity, which pressure. Imagine when we say, okay, let's embrace digital inclusion. To put pressure on people who cannot afford data to be able to make data available. Oh, there's no electricity. People would want to find every means possible just to ensure that they have and make use of digital tools. If by 2030 we have solutions to all of these issues I've outlined, in 2030 will be a solution to Africa's education challenges. But for this year, 2026, data inclusion is not a solution to Africa's education challenges. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think that is the end of the session for you guys. Thanks for your presentation, Tara and Okeke. So we are moving on to the next session. Sheila S. Nyabuke and Yakubu Napari. Sorry if I did not get the pronunciation. For session 3, debating on the topic, can Africa's youth lead the transition to green economies? I want to confirm that these participants are on the call. Is Sheila on the call? Sheila and Yabuke, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm on the call.
What about your co-debater? Is he or she on the call?
Yes, I am on the call.
All right. Thank you very much. So, as usual, Sheila and Yakubu, you have 3 minutes each for your main presentation and 1 minute each for counter argument. So Sheila is going for, Yakubu is going against. Sheila has the floor first. Your time starts now. Sheila, your time starts now. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Hello?
you. I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear
Am
you,
I
Sheila.
able?
Go ahead.
Hello? Can you please respond?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you. I wasn't getting you earlier.
Okay, but you can hear me now. This is the issue that one of your co-debaters raised, this issue of internet connectivity. It's a very big problem. And can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you too.
Okay, fine. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, everyone. My name is Sheila Sonia, and today I'll be tackling the motion Africa's youth lead the transition to green economy. First and foremost, can you imagine a continent where sunrise powers homes, schools, and industries, not through imported fuel, of its youth? The vision is not fetched. It's already in motion. And that's why I stand firmly to support the motion. Can Africa's youth lead the transition to green economies? And my answer is a resounding yes. For my first argument, I will look at youth innovation and adaptability. Africa's youth are the backbone of its innovation system. Across the continent, young people are driving green startups from Nigeria's Babangona, revolutionizing sustainable agriculture, to Kenya's Ikobona, revolutionizing turning plastic wastes into building blocks used in the engineering community. The energy, the creativity, and the digital literacy of Africa's youth make them uniquely positioned to lead the shift towards sustainable development. For my second argument, I will look at the growing awareness and the global collaboration. Unlike previous generations, African youth are globally connected and environmentally conscious through our digital system, as we normally call it. Nowadays, it's a global village. Initiatives such as the African Youth Climate Assembly and the Green African Youth Organization show how young people are not just participating, they are leading in shaping policy, mobilizing communities, and securing
of African population being people under the age of 25. The youth represent not just the future workforce, but also the next generation of decision makers and people shaping the continent. Governments and private sectors are increasingly involving the youth in climate policy and innovation. For instance, in Rwanda, youth-led enterprises have led to the national green sector strategy. In conclusion, Africa's transition to green economies is not a dream waiting for the elite to act. It's a movement already built by its youth. They have the numbers, the creativity, and the urgency. The question is not if the African youth can lead, but how fast they can lead if we empower them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonia. Quick question for you. Your debate topic, can you just give a yes or no answer to it? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I am asking if you can give a yes or no answer to your debate question.
Can you elaborate, please?
Now, your debate question is a question. Can Africa's youth lead the transition to green economies?
Are you asking me if, to the question, Africa's lead the transition to economies?
Yes.
If I can get yes or a no answer.
Yes.
Hello?
That is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
My question is if you can give a yes or no answer to the debate topic. I've had your presentation, yes, but I want to get an overview. Is it a yes or no for your debate? Because it's a question. It's a yes.
I mentioned it earlier during my presentation. Pardon?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Okay.
Yakubu Napari. You have the floor. You have 3 minutes for your main presentation, and your time starts now.
All right. Good day, everyone. The chair, honorable judges, fellow debaters, and my audience. I strongly oppose the motion that says that Africa's youth can lead to greener economies. The chair, the transition to green economies has become a global priority as nations seek sustainable solutions to climate change and environmental degradation. In Africa, many argue that the continent's youthful population can lead this transition, while Africa's youth are energetic, innovative, and deeply concerned about environmental issues. The claim that they can lead a transition to green economies is unrealistic under current political, economic, and structural conditions. Leadership of such a transformation requires decision-making authority, financial control, advanced technical capacity, and then systemic power factors largely beyond the reach of Africa's youth. First, leadership entails the ability to make and enforce binding decisions across most African countries. Do not occupy positions where national energy policies are formulated, budgets are allocated, or even industrial regulations are enforced. These responsibilities remain in the hands of government, senior political elites, and international institutions. Proponents often argue that youth activism and advocacy influence policy direction. However, the influence should not be confused with leadership. Advocacy can shape discussions, but it does not substitute for formal authority or institutional control. Without access to the levels of power, Africa's youth cannot direct a continental economic transition. Second, the shift to green economies is highly capital intensive. It requires massive investment in renewable energy infrastructure, green transportation systems, industrial restructuring, and technological innovation. Yet, Africa's youth face high levels of unemployment, limited access to credit, and weak financial support for startups. Supporters of the motion frequently cite youth-led green enterprises as evidence of leadership. While such initiatives are commendable, small-scale projects cannot replace national energy systems or drive large-scale economic transformation. Leadership without financial power remains symbolic rather than effective. Now, green economies depend heavily on advanced skills and technology. Fields such as renewable energy engineering, climate science, smart grid management, and green manufacturing require specialized expertise and long-term institutional experience. Unfortunately, many African education systems are underfunded and insufficiently aligned with the demands of emerging green industries. Proponents may argue that young people are adaptable and quick learners. However, adaptability alone cannot compensate for decades of technical experience, research capacity, and then industrial infrastructure required to lead complex economic transitions. Moreover, Africa's economic structures present significant constraints. Many African economies remain dependent on fossil fuel exports, extractive industries, and foreign capital. These systems are embedded with global markets and shaped by international trade routes, investors, and financial institutions. Even a highly motivated youth population cannot literally dismantle or redirect these global structures. Leadership is impossible when control over capital, markets, and trade policies lies largely outside the influence of young people. Finally, the socioeconomic realities facing Africa's youth further limit their capacity to lead millions of young Africans. Millions of young Africans are preoccupied with meeting basic needs such as employment, education, healthcare, and housing. While resilience is often celebrated, survival pressures reduce the ability to engage in long-term strategic leadership. Expecting youth to spearhead a continental green transition while struggling with basic livelihood challenges places an unfair burden on them. Africa's youth are undeniable important stakeholders in the continent's green future. They are innovators, advocates, and future beneficiaries of sustainable development. However, under present conditions, they lack the authority, financial resources, technical capacity, and systematic control required to lead the transition to green economies. This is Salman Apari
All
from
right,
Ghana.
thank you very much. Your time is up. Thank you very much, Yakubu. This is the second phase of your presentation, which is the counter-argument phase. So, Sheila, I hope you're still on the call.
Yes, I'm still
Sheila,
on
are you
the
still on
call.
the call?
Yes.
Okay. So, you have a minute to present portal concerning what your co-debater has pointed out, and maybe you want to iron things out in that regard. You do that now. You'll have just 1 minute for that. She has 1 minute as well. So your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for my colleague for the points that you have laid out. And there are three things come across what you have said. Number one, you have mentioned that the youth lack the capital or the money to lead. And what I can say is capital follows innovation. Look at the flow of venture capital into African fintech and cleantech companies. It's almost going exclusively to youth labs because the youth are the ones who held the vision and they are the ones who attract the investment. You've also mentioned that the youth lack political power or the leadership isn't just sitting in parliament. Market adoption. The youth are deciding they are doing the work and they are the ones who drive the demand that forces the policy to change. The youth are the ones who are going to streets to talk about things that the government are not doing. So when you say that the youth lack the political power, and yet they are the ones who drive the same government or the politicians to force the policy for change. And the last thing that you mentioned, that the youth are too inexperienced. Experience in what? Experience in the all fossil fuel economy really? No, that is a liability and not an asset. We are experts in the new digital and is going digital, and the youth are the driving force for the digital space, working and going different level. And as I conclude, I can just say is that the green future of Africa will not be imported. It will be imagined, built, and sustained by its youth. And that's all I can say. Thank you.
You guys can hear me?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, Sheila, thank you for your counter argument. Cool. You have minutes to counter whatever is
All right.
in the points she has made so far.
All right. She made mention that
Your time.
all right. She said that the capital follows innovation. Innovation alone does not.
Your time. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can.
Continue.
All right. She said capital follows innovation. Innovation alone does not equate to leadership. While Africa's youth generate creative ideas and they lead a green economy requires institutional authority and policy control. Innovation without the power to implement at national or continental level remains limited in impact. Now, talking about when she was giving an argument, I heard her talk about youth activism and climate action. So raising awareness, activism raises awareness, but awareness does not translate into execution. Protests and campaigns cannot replace policy formulation, budget approval, and industrial regulation, which remain in the hands of government and international institutions. Talking about young people being environmentally conscious than older generations too. Environmental awareness is valuable, but consciousness does not build infrastructure. Green economies depend on heavy investment in energy systems, transport networks, and technology, areas where youth lack control and resources. I also heard her talk about youth-led startups prove that young people can lead. Most youth-led green startups operate on a small scale and struggle to survive due to funding constraints. Isolated entrepreneurial success cannot be equated with leading a continental economic transition, which requires coordinated national and regional efforts. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. I think we've come to the end of your session, so we are moving to the next debaters, which is the next session. I don't know if Philomena Arkufa and Alex Charlie are on the call. Is Philomena and Charlie on the call?
Yes, I'm here, Charlie. I'm here.
What about your co-debater? Is she on the call?
I don't know. I think it's not here. Should find out.
I don't think she's here. All right, what is going to happen is if she doesn't make herself available tomorrow, because
But
I will be putting up a session for you guys tomorrow, which is Sunday, in the evening.
But you
If
on
she
your
is not available by then.
Sorry, but on your instruction, you mentioned 2-3 things. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Catch that, right? Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
No, I'm Charlie. So I'm saying you mentioned of 2-3 things on instructions about this debate. Let me just lead it. You said if you are not present to give your presentation, then you are automatically disqualified. So I don't know the way forward. There are your instructions earlier.
Okay, I understand that, but as spokesperson to the organizing committee, I am at discretion to put up another counter instruction in that if the overwhelming circumstances, because for the persons that were not to proceed this, we have made it we have that if any of so far to this very phase are not around, definitely we are going to pick critically from the list we have for participants that were not able to proceed to this very phase to join on this very phase. That is if of the participants who made it to this phase default. Do you understand that, sir?
Of course, of course. But
So,
I thought that would be an advantage for some for the other opponent or other person.
I get it, but it will be an unfair advantage. So we would love to bring in somebody from the list of persons that were not able to make it to the next phase. We have what's it called now? We have the scoreboard here, and we are going to check the highest score on the scoreboard. Whoever owns the score and did not proceed to this very phase will be picked up. So that is how it works. Apologies for the, what will I call it now? Change in protocol. That is how we are going to work it now. So tomorrow, which is Sunday, same time, you are going to be competing with some, and person that will be coming in, the person will just have how many make his or her research to be able to come up against you. So that is it. We are sorry for the disruption in the schedule. It's not my fault. And I surely cannot say the same for your Philomena. Perhaps there are overwhelming circumstances, but nobody has reached out to, give any excuse as to why they will not be here. In fact, she's the only one who has defaulted. So that is, so tomorrow you have a new competitor, and I am just hoping that he or she is able to come to, argue with you on the debate topic because, like I said earlier, there's no time for research and all that anymore. But all the same, it is what it is. So that is it. That is it. Concerning the results for those that have presented so far, first and foremost, I want to appreciate everyone, those that have presented and those that did not, by virtue of overwhelming circumstances. Thank you very much for making it possible that we do this today. For your scores, the scoreboard will be released next week. So we'll be using this very week, or the week that we are about entering, review your presentations. So your presentations, they have been live streamed. In fact, it's currently live. So after this particular meeting, it has been recorded, saved on the cloud, where we can and share them amongst our panelists so that they can be able to do their review and give their scores respectively. So next week, we'll release the scoreboard and see who will be proceeding to the very next phase. We're hoping to conclude this as soon as possible. We want to do it week after week, or week by week, week after week, yes. So that is how it's going to be done. So thank you very much for your time, Mr. Charlie. Sorry for the inconveniences on your part. We shall see tomorrow. So that will be all for today. Thank you very much to everyone, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Sonia, do you have a